Mr. Shimkus, for your leadership tonight, and thank you for your interest in this issue. It's interesting looking at your charts tonight. I noticed some of your charts actually have numbers that have to change. If you look at those, that's almost like I see when I go back home to East Tennessee every weekend. I see on the pumps out on the gas stations, they have to change also. And it's changing because we see the gas prices continuing day.
If my colleague would yield.
Yes.
They're not going down. Ever since I started this, the numbers are always going up.
And you're exactly right. I think when Speaker Pelosi took over, oil, I think, was $58 a barrel according to your chart. Now it's $115 a barrel, and I can bet by tomorrow if we use that same chart that $115 will be gone, and you'll have to change that chart again. I do thank you for your leadership in this issue. And, you know, we've been busy in this Congress. So far in the 110th Congress, we've named 78 post offices, federal buildings, or roads. We've also passed legislation honoring LSU for their NCAA football championship and the Red Sox for their World Series sweep over Colorado, and even commemorated the Detroit Tigers for winning the American League pennant. Granted, post offices need names and championship teams need to be honored. But when I go back to the 1st District of Tennessee, people don't ask if I'm working on these types of things. They ask, David, how am I going to fill up my pickup truck if the gas prices don't come down? What we haven't done is pass a sensible energy policy that will break our dependence on foreign oil. And I don't know about you, and I think you agree with me, it scares me that we're dependent on foreign nations for our energy needs, dependent on people that hate us and hate our freedoms, and quite frankly hate our religion. It is a dangerous precedent that we set when we become more and more and more dependent every day. It's time to get our priorities straight and help the citizens, families, and small businesses in each of our districts across America. There is no excuse for this. When families in my district are struggling to fill up their vehicles just to go to work. I can remember a time 10 or 12 years ago before I came to Washington when there was a lot of talk about one party would steal milk from babies or have senior adults eating dog food. Well, I can tell you, this worries me when I have families in East Tennessee that are to the point that they have to decide, do they buy food that's going up or do they buy energy to go to work? This worries me. There's no excuse for small businesses in my district to be forced into bankruptcy because they can't operate under the high energy prices that they're facing. There is no excuse when families in my district have to choose between driving to work each day or putting food on their table or sending their kids off to college. There's no excuse. Energy is the foundation and lifeblood of the American economy. Creating the conditions that help us support good-paying jobs in the United States and allowing our industrial base to compete with the rest of the world. Gasoline prices have increased more than $1.23 per gallon since the majority party took control of this House last year, increasing from a nationwide average of $2.33 per gallon on the very first day of the 110th Congress to now $3.55 per gallon. And again, that will probably change by tomorrow. It's changing every day. What we need is no more excuses. We need an energy policy that allows us to use American energy. We need to drill for oil in ANWR and off the Intercontinental Shelf. We need to use our abundant coal supplies through the use of clean coal technology. One of the first things I did when I was elected to Congress is went to the Pentagon and spoke with the Secretary of Air Force. And one of their top priorities is to use American coal, American energy, and take that coal and turn it into a fuel that we can actually fly our jets with. That's not too much to ask. And we think, boy, that sounds a little out there, a little futuristic. Well, let me tell you how futuristic it is. The Germans in World War II ran their war machines in World War II by changing lumps of coal into gas. In World War II. This is not futuristic, some pie-in-the-sky issue. This is something that was done in World War II. It can be done now. And we need to create safe nuclear power plants, and we need to build refineries. And we need to expand our green energy initiatives like switchgrass, The University of Tennessee has a wonderful program looking at that possibility. Wind power, solar power, hydroelectric power. I think we have to look at green energy. But I think we've got our heads in the sand if we feel like we can run the American economy off of green energy. I think we have to have an energy plan. And an energy plan and energy policy combines all of these things together. It's a supply and demand issue. It's that simple. If you have a lot of something and a few people want it, the price will come down. But if you have a limited supply, this is basic economics that you learn in high school. If you have a small amount of a product and a lot of people want it, the price will go up. We have a limited supply. And it's not just Americans now that want the supply. China wants the supply. India wants the supply. We live in a global marketplace. And there are people in this Congress that believes you can tax and regulate yourself into prosperity. It never has happened. It won't happen today, and it will not happen in the future. If there's anybody that serves in this House that believes that you can put a tax on a business and that tax won't be passed on to the consumer, they haven't taken economics. They will pass that cost directly onto the pump. Now, we see that gas prices have gone from $2.33 a gallon when the majority party took over to $3.65 according to your chart today. Can you imagine if we put more taxes on top of that, what that's going to do? That's going to put a higher burden on the American consumer, on the American family. There are families back in East Tennessee that sit around their kitchen table trying to decide how they're going to put a budget together. And it's putting a real dampening spirit when they have to try to take $50 or $60 to fill up their vehicle. Mr. Speaker, some people here in Washington believe the best way to reduce our gasoline prices is just to tax the oil companies that are providing our energy supply. You can't tax and regulate yourself out of an energy crisis. You can't tax Joe's or John's or Chris's pickup truck full of gasoline. It just doesn't make any sense. The American middle class deserve better. They deserve an energy policy that is dependent on American energy, not foreign energy. That's why 2 weeks ago I signed on to a piece of legislation that's carried by my good friend out of Texas, McThornberry, called the No More Excuses Energy Act. No more excuses. We've talked about energy for years before I ever came here. As I was running for office in the last election, I heard the majority party say, if you'll just let us take power, we're going to lower your energy cost. Well, I certainly don't see it in your charts today, Mr. Shimkus. I can tell you, we need no more excuses. We need to use American energy. It's the only way to lower the cost at the pump and to give some relief to the American taxpaying citizen. Thank you for your leadership, and I yield back.
Thank you. And a few comments. I also, immediately after you